Hi there, I'm Inshira and I'm going to be talking about a project that I developed called ShowDscResource. This is a PowerShell ISE plugin that helps users write DSC configurations much faster than you could before. To take a glance at it, for instance, this is the ISE window and I have a sample configuration block written over there. I can access all my resources inside the ShowDscResource add-on over here. I can double click on any of these resources, which will give me a lot more properties. I can hover over these properties to understand what they mean. I have mandatory properties automatically ticked. I know the location, the friendly name, and all the other extra properties that I want. And in case I want to insert any of these, all I have to do is click on insert and it'll give exactly what I want on the left pane, which is my edit pane. So let's step back. What is DSC? DSC, or Desired State Configuration, is a new platform developed by the PowerShell team last year and shipped with Windows 8.1 and Windows 2012. DSC helps manage an environment on a system considering save files, archives, registries, and other resources. For instance, say every time you start a system, you always want to maintain a particular state of certain registries and certain users and groups settings that you want to be set. DSC helps you achieve that. It maintains the state once the state is set and ensures that the DevOps don't have to revisit these criteria or revisit and check if the machine has changed state. Now, you could set this particular state on one system or multiple systems at the same time. In this way, DSC really helps out. Instead of writing scripts multiple times, you can just use the DSC scripts and create more files and start configurations on multiple systems. For more information for beginners, there are a lot of blogs available online and articles on TechNet and documentation. There are also a couple of videos that nicely explain how you can use DSC. For those of you who are well versed with DSC, I'm sure you know that the PowerShell ISE is a pretty good IDE to create your configuration scripts. Configuration scripts in DSC are basically the core which helps you create more files which you can deploy on multiple machines and start a configuration. For instance, I have a sample configuration over here. All this does is it tries to create a file, a sample file, and it should contain these particular contents and it should ensure it's present. It also creates an environment variable and it ensures that it's absent. This is just a sample that I've created. Now I created this by hand, and if I want to just run it, I just run this particular sample and I get a localhost.mof file. And just for showing you how to run this particular thing, I'm going to show so I just have to do a start DC configuration -wait -robots and give the path and force, and I'm going to find these particular messages which is letting me know that the system has been set to this particular configuration. The configuration is present inside system32 configuration directory as well. Now, say I want to add another DSC resource over here. I am not sure if you're aware, but DSC has come out with a lot of resources in the form of the DSC resource kit. Over here, there are a lot of modules that are getting shipped almost every month, which contain resources for different platforms like Azure or database or the computer or different places that you want to be administering using DSC. Now, considering there are so many resources, how am I supposed to remember what the properties are? For instance, over here for the environment variable, name, ensure, and path are 3 of the properties, but there could be many more properties. ISE has new IntelliSense which allows me to explore these properties, but then but before I even want to be opening up the IntelliSense, how do I figure it out? How do I come to know as to what is there? Yes, there is a particular command called getDSCResource which is going to give me all my properties. It's going to give me the whole the list of DSC resources that are present on my system, and it gives me in a very concise tabular format as to what the properties are. If I want to further deal into this, it's much better if I just execute the command and save it into a particular variable. And then once I have this, say I go into the 17th resource, I just want to know more about the storage account resource. But again, now in order to execute it, I need to look at the properties. Now inside the properties, I realize that, oh my god, these two are mandatory, and then these two have, and then this particular ensure has values of absent and present. So something which, I mean, for ensure maybe it's easy, but there are other variables and properties which I might not be able to even figure out that it's there. I have to further on and on and on just keep exploring this particular exploring all the possible properties for this. Now I see the parent path is here, and I see it's a PowerShell resource. Now all these details are very hard to get, because I mean, it's not actually very hard, but then consider I want to write a configuration with at least about some 50 resources. How am I going to write them if I have to keep executing get DC resource for each one of them? So, ta-da! We have this particular, the new DSC resource add-on that you can use. To download the ShowDscResource module, you can go to the GitHub page, which is github.com/inshira/ShowDscResource. Over here, you'll find two main subdirectories, which is ShowDscResources and the ShowDscResource module directory. The ShowDscResources directory basically contains the solution, which is used to build the DLL that contains all the information about gathering the DSC resources. And if I go back up one level, the ShowDscResource module consists of the module that you have to install on your system. Basically for this, all you need is just the module, unless you want to contribute to GitHub and this project, which I would really encourage that as well. But in case you just want to be using the add-on, you could just go to this, download the module, and execute instructions as given in the wiki. You can always go to the wiki of this, and in the installation page, it's just 2 lines. You just import the module, the ShowDscResource module, and then you install it. To import it, I'd advise you to copy this particular module onto your system, and then you can execute the command import module on the ISE and install the ShowDscResource add-on. I've saved it here, and I'm going to use the instructions over there in the home page. First I do the import module and I import this, and then I execute install DSC resource add-on. Now this is going to open my add-on on the right. Over here you'll see it's currently a clean slate, but it consists of all the resources that exist on my system. If I want to know more about any particular resource, all I have to do is just double click on that resource, and I'll find all the details about it. Now in one shot I know where its path is, where its parent path is, it's in system32 or program files, and what its actual name is and what its friendly name is. Friendly name is basically what you're going to be using to address the resource inside your configuration. Now there are not just these details, but as well as the properties. They all come in just at once. And not just the properties, even the description about the properties. For instance, the archive resource. What's the destination? It's a directory to expand the zip file to. The checksum, you have exactly what the possible values are. You possibly couldn't have realized the values unless you use the IntelliSense. But I want to create the checksum, say, based on the created date. The path is inshira something. Okay. And the destination could be temp. Now it's archive arc resource. Now if I want to just insert this particular resource, I have all these details. All I have to do is insert, and it's going to insert my resource over here. I just can add to an existing configuration, or if I want to just copy it and insert it into another configuration, I can just click on copy and I go to a new configuration and I just say paste, and it clicks the same archive resource. If I want to be adding another resource, say file, let's go back to what we did before. File resource. Now the file resource has many more options. It has math source, which after I hover my mouse over it, I know, okay, fine, okay, so this is going to compare the destination with the source path. So a lot of these properties, also each resource contain some properties which are checked by default. For instance, over here the destination path is checked by default. The reason for this is because they are mandatory properties. So this makes it easy for you to know that, okay, I have to define these properties, so let me not go back on that. Also, there are checkboxes where you have multiple possible properties instead of just radio buttons where you only have a particular value set. You can choose just one of them. Say I click all of these and sorry, I'm just using the same file name. Okay, so, and I want to say recurse. Okay, recurse would mean more for a directory, and say I want to delete the temp1 directory and I want to ensure it's absent, and I want to recursively delete it, and the type is directory. So all of this is so intuitive. All I have to do is just look at it and I know what exactly I'm doing. And yeah, I place my cursor and I just say insert, and I have the whole file inserted over here. So this is the configuration. Now all I have to do to run it is the sample configuration. I just say play. Okay, and then I have this. I have the localhost.mof, and I can always start the configuration. Okay, let me just start the configuration as well. Why do I choose these names? Okay, wait, verbose, and ta-da! So it creates a configuration which can be started. And it's not just for the file resource, which is quite maybe something that you've used more often. Consider the new resources that you downloaded, like all these Azure Xcomputer database resources. One thing that you must know that if you already did not know is that all the resources present inside C Windows System 32 do not need an import module, import DSC resource tag. However, if you're using a new resource like Xcomputer, now this shell tells me that the path is in C program files. Now anything that is not present in C Windows System 32, for instance, let me look at, say, okay, the hotfix resource. Here I know the path is C Windows System 32, so I don't have to really bother about it. So was the file. I didn't have to bother about any import DSC resource command. But with my Xcomputer, I do have to bother about it. Xcomputer, actually, let me try this. Here, I am going to just not enter any name just to see what's going to happen. It's just going to give you a default name in such a case, and because I'm inserting it from program files, I should expect the import DSC resource. So I say insert, and there it is. It says import DSC resource Xcomputer management. I can always enter computer resource, and that's going to be my name, and this is just, it's going to tell me that okay, it's a string. I can always enter Inshura PC, that's my computer name, and there it is. I have the import DSC resource command, which helps the computer understand that this particular resource exists in another location and not just C Windows System 32. Do you want to run this again? Let me try it. Ta-da! So I have the localhost.mof again. I don't really want to start the configuration because I don't want to change my computer name, but you get what I mean until now. Now the other buttons that are just there, the refresh button, it basically, in case you add a new resource, you delete resources from your system, it'll just refresh the whole thing, the whole system, and it'll set it back to the clean slate that you saw before. Now there are other things like if you want to sort by name, consider you have 100,000 DSC resources. You can easily sort them by name, by module. You can use them just as you would in any other place. And I have a particular help button which will, in case you forgot any of the details, you can always use it and it would help you out. But mainly, this just makes it easy. You have the descriptions, you know what's mandatory, you know what value set is, you know which of them are compulsory, and you can just use it within clicks instead of going through get DSC resource and finding out what the schema of each of these resources are. All these details have been extracted from the schema, so that makes it much easier for you to create your DSC resource. In case there are any more questions, you could always raise an issue or discuss it on the GitHub page. I would love any sort of feedback that I can get from you. Thank you for using ShowDscResource, and I hope you really like it.